Who will be the captain after Temba Bavuma? Well, so obviously after the World Cup. That is a question that was sent in to us on our Instagram account, and it's one of the questions of the main show. So we will be answering your questions on today's show. That's what this is all about, of course. That's what we do on the show. It's a fan Q&A session where you guys get to ask us questions, and we answer them as best to our ability. We don't always have an answer, but we'll try to give you the best answer that we possibly can. So, welcome to the fan Q&A session with myself. Aditya will be coming a little later. So, in the meantime, it will be me to start things off. So, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show, and this is your fan Q&A session. I'm your host, Khalid Maiden, and this is the show where we answer all fans' questions. So that's what we do on this particular show. First and foremost, let's start off the show by saying well done to the Proteas women. Getting their second win on the bounce was a very, very nerve-wracking performance, very close to the wire, and in the end, the Proteas women pulled it off. I have to take my hats off to Shabnim Ismail, who we know is world class, but she showed a lot of composure to get two wickets, consecutive wickets, and then of course getting that final wicket to end the game. But also bowling amazingly under pressure. With Pakistan actually batting quite well, it was heading towards that direction where we thought Pakistan could actually win this match. It was in their hands, and it was almost like exactly what we spoke about. You know, the fact that South Africa's record is so good against Pakistan, unbeaten against them in World Cups. Everything was pointing towards maybe an upset, but a clutch performance from South Africa and a good way to start things off. So well done to the Proteas women so far. Next up is England, and that's going to be the true test, a proper test against a team that South Africa has struggled with against in the past. Okay, let's get into the comment sections. Before I get into the live chat, let me first start by answering the questions that are on Instagram before we get going. Before we talk about the main topic, which is the main headline. I will move to Damien 23 Allen's comment, and that is: how long will it take for Mitchell van Buuren to get noticed by CSA selectors? Currently scoring in every format, and yes, he has had a good performance. He's had a consistent performances over the last couple of games that he has played, particularly getting those two centuries on for his maiden. It's his maiden 4-day competition century, and he scored 2 in one match, which is excellent. So a very good performance there. And then once again, he performed very well today. As you know, the One Day Cup has started, and the games are in the balance. They're obviously not completed yet. Second innings are happening at the moment as we speak. But I can give you a quick update of what has happened so far. So in the Momentum Multiply Titans match against the G-Bets Rocks, we had the likes of Tienis de Bruin, 134. He stood out with regards to that. And then there was obviously 250s in the middle with Corbin Bosch and Subinile Makanya scoring 50s in that match. The Rocks' reply, currently Hanaman Malan is carrying their innings for them. And hopefully Michael Copeland can also come to the party for the Rocks' sake. Then when it comes to the Lions, which we are talking about now, and bring out that topic, Mitchell van Buuren. Mitchell van Buuren scored 78 of 71 balls after a collapse for the Lions. Rassie van der Dussen and Mitchell van Buuren really came to the party and performed excellently to get the Lions to a defendable total, which they are currently trying to defend and going pretty well at that, I must say, against the Warriors. They've got them down 8 wickets for only 106 runs. So They still trade by 161 runs with 27.3 overs left and 2 wickets remaining. So it looks like the Lions are going to get a victory in this match, with their Proteas obviously in the side, and everybody has their Proteas in their side. Warriors don't necessarily have many Proteas in their team, but once again, they're looking to Tristan Stubbs to save the day, and he's still not out. So as long as he's still in the middle, anything can happen, guys. Then we can go over to the Western Provinces game against Northwest Dragons. Northwest Dragons scored 243 for 9, and it was 100 from Senator Mutasami that really took them to the next level, that really gave them a proper scare, Western Province, from that perspective. He scored the bulk of the runs, and then 240s, one from Kanya Kotani and also one from Haino Kun. That's what got their runs racked up. From a Western Province perspective, they currently 6 down. John O'Bird is still at the crease, however, and looking to bat with Kyle Simmons. So hopefully, from a Western Province perspective, they were going to obviously look to score big runs. Unfortunately, the Proteas players have not come to the party in this particular opening round of fixtures. Only Rassie van der Dussen already showing what he's capable of with a bat. And when it comes to with the ball, nothing necessarily crazy. No fifers. Although Sasanda Magalo got for 55 runs currently, looking for a fifer. And when it comes to the Warriors themselves, they only got the Lions 8 wickets down, and it was Clinton Steelman that stood out 3 for 47 for them. Then when it comes to Northwest currently against Western Province, that game is still in the balance, so there has been a even display currently when it comes to the bowling department. Nobody's really necessarily stood out in that particular match quite yet. With regards to the G-Beds Rocks' bowling against the multiplied Titans, it was Frisco Adams that stood out with 3 wickets. So that's the basic summary of the Momentum One Day Cup. But let's get into the question. The question, of course, was how long will it take for Mitchell van Buuren to be seen? Now, I don't want to have this conversation over and over again consistently, giving my opinion on this matter in this way, where I feel that every single time a player that performs, particularly, I know it's maybe it's not an observation that I should be mentioning right now, but generally speaking, when a new young player performs, we want to see him straight into the Proteas setup quite quickly. It's almost like if you show signs, then you should be there. Like South Africa don't have good players already in the setup. So I think Mitchell van Buuren needs to play an extended run of domestic cricket, of where he's playing for the Lions. A lot of opportunities are coming his way now because there's the Proteas, those players that are in the Proteas setup. There are quite a few from the Lions that are currently in the Proteas setup. So whether it's got to do with Test or white ball cricket, there's quite a few that go missing for those games. So Mitchell van Buuren obviously got an opportunity to play because the Lions have a very strong franchise with a lot of talented players. So it's very, very interesting, that one. But I think Mitchell van Buuren will get his chance if he can keep this up and keep the consistency going. I'm sure that after a couple of seasons, or one after the season, or maybe after the next, conversations will be had, especially if there are players that are struggling in the current Proteas setup. It makes it even more important for them to talk to guys like Mitchell van Buuren, etc., Stubbs, and all of those guys that we are talking about. Justin Top J says, Maharaj is vice captain. Does that mean main spinner Shamsi will miss out in 11 or playing 2 spinners? So I think the reason why Maharaj came into the setup is with the mindset and mentality of the matches in India, or us playing in India where it's going to be spin friendly. I think that is initially why they were always going to bring Maharaj into the setup. And Maharaj was playing quite well as well in the white ball arena domestically. So he put up the performances. in domestic cricket, particularly in T20 competitions as well, like the Mzansi Super League competitions, etc. But I do believe that if there's one spinner that needs to be picked, you have to pick Shamsi. It depends on what you are looking for. Now, I think it's very important that we look at the balance. South Africa currently with the bowlers, they have the luxury of being able to, and everybody's available and fit. They have the ability to be able to pick, or the luxury to be able to pick bowlers according to what they need. So, hypothetically speaking, it could work like this. For example, if you're missing a strike bowler, and you're needing someone on a spinning surface, and you picked Shamsi as your wicket taker as a spinner, you could perhaps pick a seamer that is a little bit on the slower side, that bowls a lot of slow deliveries, variables, and doesn't necessarily bowl extremely fast and can hold it in, keep pressure on the opposition, and then Shamsi works in tandem with him. Keshav Maharaj tends to be that guy that holds an end and makes sure that the scoring doesn't happen at the one end. So he has a different role altogether when it comes to being in the white ball arena. But if we're going to pick a spinner, and we have to pick a spinner, only one spinner, I would go with Debre Shamsi, just based on his ability to be able to manipulate the ball and put pressure on opposition and take wickets. Um, but if we're going to play two spinners, I wouldn't mind seeing Keshav with him. I wouldn't mind seeing Keshav with the Braves. And Keshav has been showing some good performances with the bat as well in recent times. So it's good to see that too. So let's go to the main question. And the main question of this show was, who do you think will be captain next after Bavuma's captaincy ends? So this is a very difficult one, because um, initially I would have hoped that Aiden Markram would have come to the party with a bat, get some form, be a regular in the ODI setup, and then take that captaincy spot. But at the moment, Aiden has been struggling with his form in ODI cricket, for example. But in T20 cricket, he's been really good. Um, so he is in a bit of a dilemma at the moment. But when I look at natural captains and natural successors to Temba Bavuma, currently in the ODI squad, there aren't a lot of options when it comes to um, picking a next generation of captain. I don't think necessarily someone like Calverena is ready yet. He needs to first cement his spot. And South Africa's ODI team are quite in a transition phase. KG, Andrich, we've got Lungi as your senior players, and then you've got your Quentin de Kock, Temba Bavuma as your others, and Rassie van der Dussen, David Miller as your other senior players. I was always very fond of Aiden as a potential captain, but it does seem like perhaps if Keshav Maharaj is still around and playing, that he would take over from Temba Bavuma, seeing that he's the vice captain. Now, this is not a question that I can answer right now, because I don't think there's necessarily anybody else that has put up their hand as for potential captaincy within the current ODI squad that is available currently. Let's see how this team develops. Let's see how they go at the World Cup, and then we can maybe start discussing that to see who's available and what direction the team is going. Because if the team is going with a young mentality and going to refresh everything, and that hearing doesn't go well for Mark Boucher, and we get a new coach in, and it's a different style and a different mentality, and we're going to see a whole lot of new youngsters coming in here, then we might see a very different captain to Aiden Markram and a very different captain to anybody else if that was the case. And realistically, at the moment, Aiden hasn't been in the best of form, and he can't be considered captain until he gets his form up. Unfortunately, because we need him more with a bat than currently. So um, we're gonna have to maybe look at a new next generational captain, and it might be someone completely left field, because we might be in a different situation then. After the 2023 World Cup, we might see quite a few players maybe leave, dependable on what the result is as well. That will also determine whether players leave or go. So let's wait and see. There are a lot of good captains in the domestic scene, like Marcus Ackerman. There are Tony Dezorzi is a potentially very good captain. We've got Zubair Hamza, that is a captain. He hasn't necessarily had the best of time as a captain at Western Province, but he's the captain of Western Province nonetheless. Um, okay, currently you got Peter Malan at you got Tienus de Brain that captained it recently for the Titans. You've got Nicky van der Berg is at Northwest, but he's not in the Proteas setup currently. So I'm just trying to think of guys that could potentially be in the team in a couple of years' time. That could potentially be captain. It all depends on who they're going to trust and push forward with, and who they're going to trust going forward. How are they going to revamp? How are they going to move forward? What is the next stepping stone going to be? If we're going to see a burst of youngsters in, there are a lot of young potentials like Daniel Smith, ex-captain, Bryce Parsons, ex-captain for S under 19. There are a lot of ex-captains available. Calvareno was in the S under 19 team too. Tony Dezorzi, ex-captain of the S under 19 team. Vian Mulder, ex-captain of the under 19 team as well. So there are a lot of ex-captains of the under 19 team, like I've repeated that so many times, coming through the system and playing domestic cricket currently. So there are a lot of potential players, but we first need to get a feel for what the next step is going to be, what direction they're going to be going in. So that sums up the questions from Instagram. Let's get onto the live chat and see what you guys are asking me right now. I'll start at the top and then work my way down. Why Donovan Ferreira and Dewald are not playing? Surely one of them should have played ahead of Kluti. Now, with domestic cricket, transformation is a much more strict. So when picking domestic cricket teams, you need to pick the transfer targets or the transformation targets in every single 11 that you pick. So if there are certain players missing and you see players of color that are playing, it's because of the transformation targets. So they have to meet the requirements for every single match. Why did Makanya get the Titans captaincy? What has he done to get captaincy? He's been in the setup for quite some time in the domestic setup. He has a lot of experience in domestic cricket. So maybe they saw some qualities in him that they think could be a future captain, and that's why they made him captain. So yeah, I can't really necessarily answer that question because to me, I don't see Makanya as the same way as you see Makanya. I think Makanya is an excellent player, and I think he's done a lot of hard work in domestic cricket, toiling away in domestic cricket, showing what he's capable of. He's moved around and he's performed well this season. Yeah. Okay, you've answered the questions in domestic in domestic. Hi. You've answered the questions in the live chat already. Why Stubbs is batting at number 7 for the Warriors? Why so negative approach? He should bat at 4. Yeah, he should bat wherever he wants to bat. Ultimately, I think he's deserved that choice currently. But maybe because it's such a experienced lineup, that's why they've moved him down the order. Unfortunately, he didn't come to the party, and the Warriors have lost that match against the Lions. The Lions won by 160 runs, complete smashing. It's not Stubbs' fault, of course. He tried to save the innings, put in a difficult situation. But yeah, unfortunately, a loss for the Warriors to open up the One Day Cup campaign for them. So yeah, let's move on from that particular one. Who will be the next captain of the Dean Alga? That's also another question that we need to look at and answer. It's very possible that they would maybe go with Temba Bavuma as a captain if Dean Alga retires before Temba as a filler. But I do think that whoever gets picked next as the all format player across formats should maybe be the captain of all formats. If there is a player that has put up his hand like that has performed across all formats. I can't give you that answer right now, but if I look at the test setup currently, once again, there's nobody currently that I feel that is ready to take the captaincy of the Proteas, um, other than Dean Elgar. Dean Elgar was the obvious choice, and then Keshav Maharaj would be the next logical choice, maybe as well. I think Keshav could be a good captain in Test cricket as well. So that's another one that we can look at. So we joined by the man Aditya, the main man Aditya. Welcome to the show, brother. Thank you for joining me. I was holding the fort here. Hopefully, I was holding the fort well enough.
I've
um,
come. I'm back. I'm back to support you, my friend.
so let's look at a question. Maybe you can answer this one. Wait, I just have to read that one before I show it on the screen because I have to double check if there's nothing wrong in the. Um, I'm not going to answer that one. That's weird. Let's move down, move down. You can answer this one instead of me. Why are our all-rounders are not performing with a bat in the Proteas setup? Why do you think, Aditya?
Which format are we talking about specifically?
Let's go with both because in both formats, I mean, in all
Okay.
three formats, it's not really necessarily happening, eh?
Okay. Um, yeah, it's a complicated question, and why they're not performing, I suppose, is I think you look at the all rounders, they're performing in one discipline, but they're not necessarily performing in both disciplines. But in saying that, I feel like we saw a bit of an improvement in Veer Mulder's batting
Hmm.
uh, in the second test against New Zealand, and it was almost match defining sort of contribution. He made score 35, so that was some sort of an improvement. With Dwayne Pretorius, I don't know if he's got as much of an opportunity. Sometimes I think sitting here we tend to underestimate the difficulty of just coming in and slogging in difficult
And slug it
conditions.
immediately. Yeah.
So I feel like that's there as well. But I think with time and experience, it will all come together.
Yeah. You see, Vian Mulder has the talent. And maybe that's intensity of test cricket is obviously going to be something that will affect the particularly batters coming up because of the bowlers that they're facing is obviously different levels. But I think time in the middle, batting more, Vian Mulder will come right, I feel, because I think he's I know him as a very good batter. I mean, all the years watching him play schoolboy cricket in Kaya Majolo weeks, he was a very good batter, batted up the order. So you can see that it's there. I think it's just maybe um, composure and maybe shot selection and patience that he needs. Just to know to get an understanding of which balls he can hit, which he can't hit, etc. When he must leave, when he must not leave, and really understanding his game plan when it comes to Test cricket, for particularly. I think in white ball cricket currently, I'm not actually that worried about South Africa's progression in white ball cricket. I think we're becoming a very good unit. That I'm starting to really become fond of this dynamic that is growing in the white ball arena for South Africa, and I think we're building a nice foundation for the next generation also to come in and replace. And I hope that they do that transition very well, because when it comes to the main question which we spoke about, um, that transition is going to be important. That it's smooth. Let me get your question. Let me get your answer to that main question, Aditya, because you didn't really have an opportunity to answer it. But who do you think will be the next captain after Temba Bavuma? Is there anybody currently in the Proteas setup that you feel can just go ahead and take over from Temba after the World Cup? Or do you feel that South Africa is going to be in another transition and we might see some risks being taken with a younger captain coming in?
I think that this, given the current setup, assuming that the team that's playing now is going to play at the World Cup, if if that is the case, then that would depend on form. Because if Aiden Markram is in solid form, then I think he'd be at that right age to captain. About be around 29, 30. Um, he'd be at the right age to captain. Um, but look, I know Temba Bavuma has been given a mandate till the 2023 World Cup, I believe. But that's what next year. There's no reason that he can't captain for a couple of more years after that also. Maybe captain till the next T20 World Cup, and then give the reins to someone else. But I think it would depend entirely on form, and it's very difficult to predict right now. Uh, but if Aiden Markham is in good form, and he scored like 10 ODI hundreds up until that point, then you know he could be captain.
Hmm. Lorenzo saying, Khalid, why is John batting so poorly these days? To me, it seems like he's focusing more on his bowling now, while his batting is seriously going in the wrong direction. I'm very careful when before I say someone's batting is going in the wrong direction personally, because I don't have maybe a big enough sample size to that I've seen with the naked eye to be able to judge it. I haven't watched enough of the Warriors' games and analyze John's game enough to really say what is going down. Is it is it maybe just confidence? Is it just maybe just bad run of patch of form, which every player goes through? Has it been because he's been shuffling around in the unit a lot? Has it been because when it comes to the Proteas, they haven't necessarily given him an understanding of where they saw him as a batter for South Africa in the future, or when he got an opportunity, or where he sees himself as a player in the setup currently at the age that he's at, in the situation that he's at. Um, what he feels is the right place for him and to play. There has been quite a few changes at the Warriors, and Robbie P has not been afraid to give people opportunities and to move things around and change things around. So a very brave coach. That could be the reason why. It also could just be a bad run of form currently, but maybe we should get him on the show and have a conversation with him at some point. It would be an interesting conversation to have, because what a player in the domestic arena. He's been phenomenal, a phenomenal soldier for the Warriors as well. A proper rock in that setup for a long time. So maybe that would be a good idea. I'm gonna let you answer this one, Aditya. I'm sorry, Lorenzo. I don't know if you can remember the New Age domestic team, which was a Black African domestic team. I think CSA must consider that again, so quotas can be relaxed. Also, sorry, that's not a question. I don't remember that, to be fair. But yes, it would be smart to do something like that. Um, to Even if it's not based on color, maybe just a development team of the players that are not making the cut, and allowing them to play cricket against the best and really grow their game. And I think South Africa domestic cricket could actually benefit from maybe having an extra team, maybe in the Division 2, um, that is almost like a development type of team of the fringe players coming through the system. Could be a smart idea. I can see that working. It might increase the players of color that we are producing in the country, and it also will give them an opportunity to be coached correctly, and also get better coaching and better competition to test themselves. Um, Sometimes you can look great in a pool of average people, or a pool of very bad people. You can look great. It happens to many people in their lifetime, especially certain schools. If you go to certain schools, you might seem a lot better than you actually are, because of the players that are around you that are not maybe as good. And then you become the star and you can look a lot better. So it's like a cheerleader effect. But anyway, let's move on from that. Malcolm Joseph wants to know this. You can answer. DJ, hi guys, I love the show. I just want to ask. I don't understand, in domestic league, the batsmen do well in the teams visit SA. The batsmen don't do well. When you look at other players, they do well home and away.
Um,
Um,
okay. Well, thanks for your question, Malcolm. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Uh, Well, you know,
I love
it's
putting you in the spot.
complicated. Uh, it's complicated, but it's complicated. Because a lot of it is is a matter of experience. And if you look at previous interviews that have been conducted on the show, whether it's with Aiden Markram or um, all the other internationals that we've interviewed, basically what they tell you is that in domestic cricket, you'd get a few more loose balls than you would in international cricket. And we have to take into consideration that South African wickets are among the toughest for batting. So it's not like, for example, I think the Australian wickets are probably the best in the world for batting. If you can get yourself set. So Australian batters can really pile on the runs there, but they might struggle in overseas conditions. So they have that respite when they're in Australia, but South African batters don't have that, because whether they play at home or away, you know conditions are equally challenging. So I think it's down to the intensity of domestic cricket in comparison with international cricket, and the nature of the wickets that they play on.
Hmm. Yeah, great answer. Um, let's. I just want to check something quickly. Where is it? Where is it? Someone has asked in the comment section, Khalid, how tall is Imran Manak? I don't have his exact height, but if I had to estimate, I'm short, so I'm about 1.73, um, and Imran's significantly taller than me. I would put him in maybe the 1.8 bracket, 1.8, maybe 1.8, 1.81, maybe around about there. I don't know. I must ask him. I will send him a message later and ask him. Um, and then I'll get back to you. Um, it's a crazy question. Yanaman should be in the T20 camp, I'm assuming, but Bavuma is captain. So my lineup is going to look like Bavuma, Rassi van der Dussen, Malcolm Stubbs, Miller, Pretorius. Interesting. Um, um, yeah, Aditya, best in the world if you survive first 20 overs of their deadly pace attack.
Yes,
Where's the start? Where's the start of this
I think
question?
it's in response to my previous comment about
Yeah.
Australia being great for batting. But yeah, if you look at Australian batters as well, they have to survive that initial bit. But then I think that's the key to batting, right? It's like the toughest part is sticking it out in in that initial 1 hour. So yeah, you get that right, that you're most likely to get runs. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's move on. Why Andile and Dwayne struggle to rotate strike against the spinners? I mean, I wish we had them here to ask him that. The $1 million questions, guys. I think maybe it's just finding the correct game plan against spin is important, and knowing where your spinning options are. I've been seeing very good. I don't know. Maybe it's just me recently paying more attention to it, but been seeing a lot of good um, field placing in the Women's World Cup. Like, for example, today, the Pakistan versus South Africa game. Pakistan's field placing against South Africa was brilliant. And and generally speaking, I've been seeing a lot of this happening recently in cricket. Field placing is becoming so important because bowlers are so skillful these days that they are able to manipulate a batter into playing shots, setting players up. I was watching the batting from South Africa, and the way, for example, Trisha Chetty was setting up the bowlers. So batters are also getting a lot more smart, a lot smarter these days, with regards to that, because they can see where the scoring options are. They know where their strengths lie. So finding a game plan that suits you and finding a sort of strategy that or approach against a particular discipline is important to your game so that you can be adaptable. Using Trisha Chetty as an example in today's match, she came in batting so low, right? Which is a new spot for her recently. She used to bat everywhere in the top order before and being a wicketkeeper batter, but she knew that she needed to score in certain areas. So she would make sure that she scores in an area that maybe the bowlers or the fielders weren't expecting her to score in, so that they were forced to move a fielder to that position and then opening up a position in the field where she can now score more freely and easily. So that's very smart, and I've been paying attention to that recently more often. Maybe it's just not emphasized as much as it was in today's match. Maybe that's why I noticed it. I've been noticing it more because it's been emphasized a lot more by um, commentators, etc. And obviously, with them being able to see the entire field, they can report back to us and chat to us about it. Where if we're watching on TV, it's very difficult for us to see what they're doing with regards to that. But yeah, maybe it's just maybe they're struggling to find scoring options against spin currently, and I think maybe or they maybe are trying new things that they're trying to add to the game to combat spin. Because I've seen Andile play really well against spin, and I've seen Dwayne Pretorius play well against spin. So maybe they are trying to add some different things to their arsenal to make them better players, perhaps, and that's why they are maybe failing currently. Holly, what is the latest on Mark Boucher and what's your opinion? Currently, no opinion on it. The trial needs to happen. I'll listen to what happens in the trial, whatever comes out of that, and then I'll give an opinion on it based on what the evidence is. Um, uh, Khalid, I've been watching Western Province and Cape Cobra's supporter all my life, and we've always been competing and winning titles. Why are we struggling so much? Bad governance, maybe we've lost gun players. Look here, like any top franchise in the world, in any sport, when you lose top players that have been there for a very long time, and when I say a very long time, I'm talking 10, 15 years or their entire career. In the Western Province case, there have been quite a few rocks in that lineup that have stuck around and stayed. Now, there's been a lot of disruption at Western Province with regards to movements of coaches. Players have left, they've replaced coaches, captains have changed. Um, Now, South Africa, I mean, Western Province recently, they've had more players called up to the national side, so they've lost their key players that they've needed to find ways to replace. A lot of players have moved from locally Cape Town and gone to other provinces and gone on to do much better with the new system, the new extra domestic system. Um, you can't necessarily compare the Cobras to Western Province because we got a, a team that was majorly part of that was Boland and also SWD. They have separate teams now. So Western Province has to make sure that they can perform with the talent from this country alone and promote that talent going forward. But also recruiting well. Money's also been an issue there with regards to a lot of things happening behind the scenes that we maybe don't know about. Um, so yeah, Western Province has struggled from an admin and governance, from admin and governance and perspective, very much so. They have struggled with regards to that. But I'm sure that we will see things turn around. I do believe, though, I know you guys maybe don't like Wayne Parnell in the national side, but what Wayne Parnell has brought to Western Province is I've been impressed with. I think he's added a bit of sense of calmness and a sense of structure, and I think he fits this current group of players pretty well, despite his age. I think it seems like he gets along very well with the group of players that are there, and that experience that they've added to this team currently. Even though, look what happened with Amla. Hashim Amla was supposed to come back and play, and he didn't. Vernon Philander there was talks about him coming back and playing for Western Province. That hasn't happened. So there's a lot of things that have gone wrong. They've also lost um, one of the main bowlers for the almost 2 seasons now. Nandre Berger has been injured for quite some time. One of their key players. So they've lacked pace in their bowling and attack as well. Let's move on. Aticha, whom would you choose in the team, in the T20 team, KG or Norkia?
Uh, that's that's such a difficult one, But if I'm going purely based on the wickets column, I'd pick KG. And mind you, he had like this this ridiculous record of having some 25 consecutive games or something in the IPL where he picked at least one wicket, which is a crazy record. No one's ever done that. But in saying that, Andre Nokia is a fantastic bowler. Just watching him bowl rockets is delightful. So it's a very close contest, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick KG.
Mhm. Hardly considering SA Batter's improvement against spin from last year, how do you see them taking the game to day five against India in India? I actually back this team to be able to do it. I think they've learned the the torture of being patient, I would call it, and they because South Africans are generally known to be naturally attacking, so it can affect. I probably did affect them knowing that they needed to block out and find scoring options against spin. But I feel a lot more confident that this bunch of test players have the knack to be able to push it out, grind it out, and go through that torture of not being able to score. Um, you have to be okay with leaving deliveries in India when the ball is spinning the way it is, and not trying to attack things with no thought process. Also, it's very important that you learn a rotation plan against a spin when you're playing in India to maintain this to maintain the pressure on the opposition. Otherwise, India just builds up dots and pressure, and that's when they're the most dangerous. Is when you're not scoring runs against them. So it's important to unsettle them by finding ways to score ones and twos, particularly ones I feel more than twos, and ones and threes should be the case.
Well, I think given the given the current trend in sort of the South African test team, and I say this completely as a joke, don't take it seriously, is that I think they'll take it to game five in the second test, but maybe not so in the first test of the series.
Yeah, let's move on. Lorenzo saying, Khalid, the Titans got it right though. They've also lost gun players through retirement, and majority of the players play for SA. They are the youngest, always come through and produce while we can't. Because the Titans are the richest franchise in the country. Um, they can pay their players. They play their players well. They've got good sponsors, and because they are enticing. They've won titles recently as well. They've got something that is enticing for cricketers in South Africa. I'm pretty sure majority of players, if they got an opportunity to go to the Titans, they won't say no. So keeping on to players, giving them a good contract, making them feel a lot more secure is important as well. And the Titans do that, have done that extremely well. Um, and we just need to give it time because Western Province also for a very long time. You see, Northern's cricket has also been doing really well junior wise. So also the local Titans players that are coming through the system are really good. Now mix that up with some of the best talents from around the country, from other provinces, which the Titans have done very well. They've recruited a lot of top players from around the country because when they had AB, when they had those players and Quinton, attracting other players to come play at that franchise makes it a lot easier because you've got these superstars that are coming through the system. Western Province don't currently necessarily have that. Calverena, George Linder, those guys are starting to make a name for themselves. Zubair Hamza too. They're starting to become top cricketers and starting to make a name for themselves. Now, with the recent Cubs team winning the local Cubs week recently, that helps Western Province because they've got a championship system coming through and they've got players coming through. So we need to find a way to make sure that our talent moves through the system and gets opportunities at the top level. Um, but Boland certainly don't have more money than VP, yet they bought the Malan brothers, Juncker and Van Sale. So surely there's a recruitment issue. Boland is a very good sponsor. GBets is a very, very good sponsor to have. What Boland has done really well is they've is bringing in money with sponsors, etc. They've done that very, very well. Whereas Western Province have lost a couple of big sponsors. There was a massive building situation happening construction wise that did mess things up a bit. They've had changes in the CEO and in the president's arena. So structures behind the scenes have changed. So when structures change and you lose players, you're gonna have to rebuild and restructure things because too much has changed in a short space of time at Western Province. So it will make it difficult for them to grow and build. Where the Titans have been secure for the last 10 or so years. So it helps having such an experienced CEO as well and businessman like Jacques Fall at the helm. The same with the Lions, excellent CEO. Same with the Dolphins, excellent CEO, and with young, fresh ideas. So, yeah. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Please go ahead and do so. If you haven't been subscribed yet, if that button is red, so smash that subscribe button. We're getting closer to 3,000 subscribers. Smash that like button, please. You know you have to do that. You are a great person if you smash the like button. Um, that's what you will get. You are the ultimate fanatic. Um, Also, don't forget to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen and in the description. You can also become a patron today. Go do so by following this link that I'm putting on the screen right now, as well as in the description. There are different tiers for you to be involved in. It will help you also um, help us grow and get better as things go along. So, yeah. Who are your personal favorite cricketers? Let's just ask that to find off. My favorite cricketer. So the cricketer that it's difficult for me. It's almost like with Manchester United. It's similar. With Man United. There's a footballer that that introduced me to Manchester United because that's the club I support. And then there's a player that made me fall in love with Manchester United. And then there's a player currently that is my favorite player at Man United. Before my favorite player of all time returned. But anyway, ultimately there's a player that introduced me and then there's a player that made me fall in love. Now with cricket, it's the same. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of Jonty Rhodes. Parents got me a little kit, Jonty Rhodes kit, with wickets and a bat and even a red little softball. And I had a little Jonty Rhodes bat. It was those ones where they signed the signatures in, they printed on the sticker and it's signed by Jonty Rhodes and they printed on the sticker and it's on the bat. So it's a fake bat. It's not the real proper English willow bat, but it was it was a plate when Jonty Rhodes was the guy I looked up to. And then as I grew a little older, started watching more cricket. Herschel Gibbs was my favorite player. For so many years, that has been my favorite player. He's like literally my favorite batter. And then A.B. de Villiers became that when Herschel Gibbs retired, and yeah, but by that time, as AB was becoming my favorite player, I started becoming more and more closer to this industry and started working. And as soon as I started working in the industry, that favoritism, having a favorite kind of stopped. I don't necessarily have a favorite anymore. I've got players that I really enjoy and really like watching play across the board. You could say perhaps like I've got a favorite if you're going to pick. I like Lord of Wolfart a lot. I'm a big fan of Nadine de Klerk personality. Marazan Kapp, I'm a big fan of. When it comes to the women's side, when it comes to the men's side, I look at the guy like Aiden Mockram and Quinton de Kock. Those are guys that I've always looked towards and was a big fan of. I'm Zubair Hamza. I consider him more as a cricket friend in a way. Someone that, so I can't really necessarily choose him as a favorite player. It will be very, very biased, I feel. I'm a big fan of Cal Verreynne, as you guys know. His mentality, etc. So there's a lot of plays that I really, really like. So I'm not going to pick favorites. Like I'm also a fan of Dewald, and so there's so many plays. But if I'm going to pick of all time, for me it was Herschel Gibbs. Herschel Gibbs was my favorite player of all time. Aditya, who is your favorite player of all time?
Oh, that's a massive
Sorry, mine's
question, man.
That's that. Sorry, that's South African. I didn't say because I like a lot of guys from overseas, like Virat Kohli. I'm a big fan of. So that's just South African. Kaushal Gibbs, if I pick. Sorry, Aditya.
So do I have to pick my favorite South African cricketers? Okay.
Sorry, you can
Uh,
pick whatever.
okay, cool. I mean, growing up in the 90s, there's only one. There's only one. It's Mr. Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. You know, cricket is my religion, Sachin is my god. Virat is his deputy, he leads me overall. So Virat Kohli features in there as well. Um, I mean, Ricky Ponting, Michael Clark, Avery Villiers, Callis, Injamal Haq. You know, these are batters that I grew up watching. Then, of course, the bowlers, Wasim Akram, Shoaib Akhtar, Brett Lee. The express pace really fascinated me. Shane Warne was there on that list as well. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many, and if I have to think about like my all-time favorite South African cricketers, I think the first name on that sheet would be Herschel Gibbs. As a kid, I remember watching Herschel Gibbs a lot, Lance Klusner. I think Graham Smith would feature there as well. Callis, of course. Um, Faf du Plessis, AB de Villiers, Dale
I didn't
Steyn. Oh,
mention.
I can't forget.
Yeah, I never mentioned any bowlers. Yeah, I was gonna say Dale Steyn. Like I was a big fan of Brett Lee. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but then when I started hating Australia, then I guess everybody just joins that party with it. Uh, but oh, when it comes to Sri Lanka, you can't look past the King of Kings. So, who's your King of King from Sri Lanka? Do you know who I'm talking about? Because there's a couple, but if you had to guess which one I'm talking about, who would you think?
My all-time favorite Sri Lankan cricketer would be
Who
Kumar
I wanted
Sangakkara.
you. Yeah, I was gonna
Oh,
say the same. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna ask you to guess mine.
Kumar Sangakkara.
Yeah, Sankakara was insane, incredible. I like just his whole persona. Everything about
Yeah.
him was just phenomenal.
Okay, let's ask you a quick question. Your top five captains of all time,
Top five captains of all time. My God.
worldwide.
Okay. You have to go with someone like I think for what Ricky Ponting has done. I think Ricky Ponting needs to be thrown in that mix. Um, War as well needs to be thrown in that mix. I feel. Um, how can you not? Greatest Australian teams of all time that time. When it comes to South Africa, I'm a big Faf du Plessis fan. I heard a lot about Cronje. For me, it was a little bit too young for me to understand Cronje's importance to South Africa. I've watched documentaries and I've seen how big it is, how big he was. But for me personally, it was a little bit maybe too premature. I'm a bigger fan of Faf du Plessis' captaincy than I was Graham Smith, even though Graham Smith was an excellent captain. I'm a bigger fan of Faf du Plessis' style of captaincy. But MS Dhoni, I mean, I love that man. Everything that he's brought to the game. Um, how many did I mention now? So Faf du Plessis, MS Dhoni, Ricky Ponting, War, and I need one more. Um, Kane Williamson. I flippin' love Kane Williamson. Currently, I'm a big fan of Kane Williamson. But there needs to be a place for Virat Kohli somewhere because I'm a big fan of Virat too. So someone needs to give way. One of the Australians have to give way then in that way in that part. So I'll probably go with Ricky because I was maybe too young when when Australia was dominating. So that's what I'll pick.
Okay, in no particular order. I think I'd go with MS Dhoni, Michael Clark, Brendan McCullum, um, Stephen Fleming, Faf du Plessis.
Excellent. Okay, guys, that's an excellent way to end off. Put yours in the comment section below, not in the live chat, in the comment section below after this video is done. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to do all of the things that I've asked you to do: subscribe, like, comment, share, do all of those things. Subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. All the links are in the description. Enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we'll see you again on Sunday evening with another podcast show. Take care. Peace.